good evening to all our viewers. Welcome to the Evening Review Show. I'm your host, Matthias Aufiku. Well, the Hifikepunye Pohamba Foundation is busy putting final touches in place for next week's launch of the country's second president's autobiography. That's Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba. We have for that in studio tonight Professor Ellen Namhila. She's the author of the autobiography. Professor, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Well,
I'm very happy to be here.
It's indeed a pleasure having you here. Well, Dr. Pohamba's autobiography, almost a decade after he left the presidency. What prompted this project? How did it come about?
Actually, it was the president himself, the former president. It was his wish to have his life story, his historical narrative, put on black and white to benefit the current and future generations of this country and also Africa and the world.
Yeah.
So he wanted to share in his journey with all of us.
Yeah. So Prof, many might be saying that what is there about the former president's life that's not out there? He's been a public figure for so long. What would be new in this book, the information that we might not know?
Actually, that question is so fundamental because I also thought the same. I also thought you are a public figure, you are an iconographer of this country, you are everywhere on the internet, you just Google Hifikepunye and all the, But actually, that is just a tip of iceberg. He has a lot to tell about his era as a youth, his background, his historical background as a family, the family descent, hailing from the Ukwangari kingdom to Ukwanyama to a valley. He has a lot. And it makes one just to think, to say, how many of us Namibians who we really think we are? Maybe you are sitting there saying, I'm Oshiwambo speaking. Probably you may even be more than that Oshiwambo speaking. I mean, from his history, one gets, and also one gets to know a bit more about the beginning or the birth of social movements, which turn into liberation movements, which turn into liberation struggles, and also the pioneering work that they have done, including the journey from Namibia into exile, braving the world where they have not been before, and charting the path for others to follow in their footsteps. So it's quite a mouthful, and to be pioneers in establishing an armed liberation struggle movement, soliciting support, whether it's material, food, ammunitions, and gaining friendship and conquering the United Nations, and all those other relationships that they have built, most of which are still active even in today's Namibia after independence. So there is a lot. There's a lot to learn. That what we know about him is just a tip of the iceberg. Yes.
So as the author, what are some of the key themes, and what would you as the author want readers to take away from this autobiography once they get it into their hands?
Well, it's very difficult to make a choice for somebody, but for me, I think what I take home is that there is a fundamental issues with regard to the needs, to the humane in him. I mean, I think the humane in him, which is, I think, in the second chapter, which make him realize that when he was a contract labor, when he was working for the Chume mine, he realized through the treatment of the police towards small children who were running away from farms, from surrounding white farms, to come and solicit help from the contract workers who were in the compound, in the Tsumeb mine compound. And when he saw these kids coming, he described their conditions. He described how the compound manager phoned the police to come and apprehend these kids and arrest them, and just that. And because Hifikepunye Pohamba, although he was a contract laborer, he didn't work, he didn't go into the shaft, he didn't go into the mine. He worked in the office, he was working in the pay office. Yeah. So he was a black man who worked in the office like a white man. So he wouldn't experience all those other conditions which other workers who went into the shaft may describe. But the fact that he saw the way these kids were being treated, I think that marked one of his turning points, which reveal a lot of humane as a human being in him. And also that is when he realized that this colonialism has to be brought to an end if this is how they go about treating us as we black people as human beings, children for that matter. Yeah. Yes. So I think for me, this is one of the fundamental issues that talk to me to say, you are working in the office. You have a collar job, a white collar job. And you are willing to sacrifice your white collar job to go and fight for the needs of those who are not able to speak and talk for themselves, or fight for themselves for that matter. Yes. Okay. So that is really one of the other one which actually also talk to this point is the fact that although him participating in the political movement, OPO landed him in the being arrested and flogged and all those things. He fled the country eventually and he reached as far as Tanzania. But going to Tanzania, he was again given a mission to come back home to prepare the Namibian people for the armed liberation struggle. And I'm asking a question, how many of us are willing to sacrifice our life for the betterment of others? You run away from apartheid, you escape in exile, you are sent back to the very same fire you were running away from, and yet you know that if the system finds you, they will not reward you. What did he do? He braved that and came back home and face and complete his mission as assigned. So for me, I think those things, apart from the work that he did after independence, I think these things, they talk to me very much to say, usually the struggle are for those who are suffering, but not necessarily those who have a conscience to say, I fight for what is right. I fight for my freedom, for my people to be independent and free. Mind you, that time, not many African countries were independent. Yeah, so I think there is a lot to take from this book. And I don't want to talk too much about the book so that the readers will now say, Namhila has already told us everything, so why should I go and buy the book? Yes.
Yeah. Just before we get to really the conceptualization of this entire project, and I'm sure it wasn't an easy project, what we know about him is really the public life that he lived, especially post-independence. But from a personal point of view, him living your ordinary life back home, how is that incorporated into this autobiography? Because I'm sure many would want to know about that. There's probably a part that many don't know as to how is he when he's back home.
You see, the conceptualization of the book actually, it's presented in chronology of events. You know, his life narrative, his life story from birth to current. And all the stories are told in order as they happened. But to talk about Pohamba as the president, Pohamba as a husband, Pohamba as a father, all those elements, and Pohamba as a grandfather, all those, and also Pohamba as a community person, as a member of the community. All those things are coming out in the book, because they receive in a chapter where he spoke about him as the president and his children. I mean, he spent so much time looking after the interests of the country to a point that at some stage his children somehow also suffer. And also somehow sometimes the children are also seen in public as children of the president, whereas those children are just ordinary children, just like any other. And so you feel it, you feel it, joy of fatherhood, you know, trying to look after his family, after his children, trying to socialize his children in a way that every member of the community realize that at one stage we need also to look after the interest of our own children, despite them being son or daughter of the president. Yes.
Yeah. Of course, he left office in 2015. What prompted this project to take place around this time, or has it been something that's been long coming?
Yes. No, the book, I think the book, we started about this book around 2017. I remember the first meeting I had with him that, no, I want you to write my book. So I have to go and think, how do I start mounting this? How do I, like eating your own elephant, where do you begin? So I started drafting questions following any event that I have researched about his life, things he did, with whom he did, places he have been, you know, just to gaze on his memory. So we started interviewing. I started interviewing him, transcribing, writing, sharing some of the texts that I have written. He to agree or not agree. And also sometimes to also interview some of his contemporary people with whom he has been, just to understand a bit more, because if you have witnessed the journey from Okangudi to Katwitwi on foot, you are the only one, you are the master of that journey. And that time, actually, those people have to walk through jungles, not like now when most of the forest is almost cleared by people looking for fields or building homes and things. But I mean, it is not easy to write a book, and especially on a historical narrative of somebody who have been at the helm of the liberation struggle and who has been a leader both in the SWAPO party and in the country as a president. So I think it's not, if someone really will ask me, put the puzzles together, what form this book? It's quite, I think we can sit here the whole night and just talk about that. But otherwise, writing is not something simple. You have to conceptualize what it is that you are writing about, and you have also to put yourself in a position of the audience, because when you write a book, you don't write for yourself. Maybe the story sounds so good to you, but wait until the reader read it and tell you whether what you are writing makes sense to anybody or it's just making sense just to you yourself, the writer. So,
Okay. Well, Professor Namhila, we head for a quick break and we'll be back to continue this conversation.
Okay.
To our viewers, wait for a short break. Stay tuned. Well, let me welcome you back from the short break. Professor Namhila, can we speak about Monday's program? We've said so much about the book and what we can expect in it. What can we expect on Monday at the launch? What activities are lined up there?
Well, the launch is taking place at Windhoek Country Club in the capital city, Windhoek. We have programs, the program of the launch. There are some speakers who are going to be saying something. Maybe the publisher will say something, and the person who is going to launch the book, Ben Namhila, is officially launching the book, but His Excellency President Pohamba is also going to make a statement as an author. I will probably also say something as an author, and then we have the book launched. And once the book is launched, it's now to the public. Yeah. People will start buying the book. There will be a table there where His Excellency will be autographing books and also giving specific books to whoever he wish to give. Yeah. And of course, those who want to buy books, maybe for their library collections or their family gift, Christmas presents, it will be nice. I actually would want to buy my book and have it autographed. I'm sure there will be a queue of people wanting him to autograph. Definitely he will be at the launch, and he's looking forward to he said, every time he see me, he said, Namhila, but this book has taken so long. Why is this taking so long for you to write this book? Yeah. It's something to which this launch is something to which he'll really, really look forward, as we all are. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Of course, he's not been in the public limelight so much. How is he live? Beyond outside of the cameras back home, how is he during when you've had your consultations for the book and so on? How is he?
Sometimes when I look at myself, I ask myself, what is these people, these freedom fighters? They seem to have energy, which is, I don't know how to describe it. I used to go to Okangudi for interview sessions. I can go there for 1 week. One time I go for 1 week and then come back and go back again. Also sometimes just to verify. If the job has to be done, that job has to be done. Breakfast, you have breakfast. You go under the tree and do your interview. And you sit there, long hours, very long hours, and until they call to say lunch is ready. You go for lunch. Immediately after lunch, back to the tree. Long conversations, long sitting hours at his age. Sometimes you want to feel sorry for him and say, he said, no, I'm okay. We continue. Yeah. So it's sometimes then he will, of course, after lunch, maybe you take a walk around the house there, you take a walk. Then you go back to your tree and work. I'm not saying he's a workaholic. Yeah. But all I'm saying is that he's job focused. If you have a job to be accomplished, you get that job done. Then you rest thereafter. But to just say, now I want to go and have a nap, so please, there's nothing like that. Yeah. You start the job, you finish the job. Yes. Okay.
Of course, at a personal level, you've been so long in the writing game, and of course, writing has not really been a culture in our country. How do you see the writing industry evolving and developing over the years, and what more can be done to really get more people on board as far as writing is concerned?
You know, I am also a librarian by training. That's what I did. That is information science. And one of the paining, one of the painful experience I had experienced in my country, having also worked as a librarian in Finland, I can say when I go to a bookshop and I want to buy a book, or if I go into our library here, National Library, and I want to read a book, I want to borrow a book, you are confronted with a catalog where about 95% of what you are getting is written by other people from other countries. And if you want to read local literature, even just a local story, you don't get it. Now here we are saying in schools we want children to develop a reading culture. How do you develop when you are reading things that you can only associate through social media or through pictures or through films or through things like that?
Yeah.
So I appreciate people when they take decisions to write. And I think this is one of the issues that also motivated me to develop the love of writing. Not just reading, but writing. Because if you want people to write, give to them those stories that they have a background on, and not just literature, which is or even studying. Imagine we are training in fields like geology, and ask me the students who are studying geology, those textbooks that they have to study, where are they written from? Yet we are a country which is very rich in geoscience. We have mining mineral resources. We need to study our own geoformation to understand how those, from our own perspective, on our own soil.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, I don't know how it feels like you are studying in a field where all the literatures that you are reading, yet you are coming from a country which is rich in mineral resources. But you can't get a single textbook or at least an article written about geoformation here in this country, Namibia. So I think it is to be appreciated. This is why I also appreciate so much that Comrade President Pohamba, as he is, why would he want to punish himself under the tree for hours and days being interviewed in order for his book to be written? I think it's a conscious decision because he wants to contribute.
Yeah.
And also he wants to share his experience and best practices with the current and future generations of this country. Yes.
Okay.
And add to the historiography of Africa. You know, they used to say, Africa has no history, thanks the white man came.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what it was, when perhaps many of the Africans did not know how to read nor write. But now we have a lot of scholars in this continent. We need to write. We need to make we need to document our culture. We need to document our heritage, and we need to document our stories of pride. And even if there is not so pride, our struggles is part of who we are, and it defines us as human beings, as part of this planet Earth. So I think it's actually a very noble thing that he decided. And I'm sure his kids, just imagine his grandchildren sitting in a class and they are reading the autobiography of their own grandfather. It makes a difference when you are reading Aristotle or some other people who, yeah. So that's why books like Things Fall Apart have been so popular. The whole Africa, everybody's talking about Chinua Achebe, who, because those are the first African writers that we know, and we celebrate them to this day. So I think it's a good addition to the historiography of Africa. As you know, President Pohamba have lived in many African countries, Algeria, for many years, Egypt, Tanzania, Zambia, Angola, you know. So it's and the African movements and the African liberation movement and all those United Nations meetings, all those. So it's a melting pot.
Yeah.
I think this book will have a piece of for everybody. Seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Professor Namhila, thank you very much for your time this evening, and we wish you well with your work going forward.
Thank you very much. You're most welcome. Welcome to the launch.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, to all you viewers, that's it from the Evening Review team. See you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a pleasant evening.